Hey guys, Chicky Domain, Deboo.com with a Deboo.com surf forecast update. This forecast update effective around 4 p.m. on Tuesday, April 11, 2017. And here we go, guys. Real-time phase of a weak area of low pressure developing north of Hispaniola, north of Puerto Rico over the next 48 to 72 hours. And Easter Swell 2017. If you've been following along our forecasts and our social media feeds, you know we've been talking about this next area of low pressure that's developing in here north of Hispaniola, north of Puerto Rico, next 48 to 72 hours. You can see that there's another area of spin that's right in here, and this one is actually retrograding towards the Gulf of Mexico. This is a key sign that tropical season is just around the corner when you can get vorticity spin on a westward moving track out here towards the Gulf of Mexico. This, incidentally, is the second area of low pressure in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we were watching what was 90L Invest out here just north of Puerto Rico, although the National Hurricane Center never gave odds on chances of development. It did produce a nice swell for us, and this is a very similar pattern, except for a weaker solution to it. So we don't think that we'll have quite the surf conditions that we had back when we had 90L Invest 2 weeks ago, but there is some positives in the upcoming forecast. Going to put this into motion for you, and then here's this area of spin we talked about that's just east of the central Bahamas. You can see how it has a little bit of spin in nature, and then it's progressing off towards the southwest in here, and it looks like it'll pass in here through the straits of the Keys. Looking at the bigger picture in here, here's where the National Hurricane Center is showing low pressure development in about 72 hours. This is going to get some easterly wind swell going as the pressure gradient begins to tighten between it and high pressure. Now, this area is elongated. If we drop down just a little bit further and look at Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, we do have a vorticity spin in here, and so it's likely this element that's in here that will raise up and then try and combine with this. Latest 96-hour surface forecast out of the NOAA's Ocean Prediction Center now showing developing storm as this area moves off towards the northeast in its natural progression north of Puerto Rico out to the north central Atlantic, and then likely combined with another area of low pressure to produce a storm force low. Winds increasing 35 to 40 knots out of the north. Now, it really all depends, guys, how much northeast fetch comes off the backside of the low and how much can make it over towards the Florida coast. Right now, it looks like the primarily northeast fetch is aimed at the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and the Eastern Caribbean over here. This does look like that it'll be the last shot for a winter type kind of swell for Puerto Rico. So for those guys wanting to jump and try and surf Puerto Rico one last time for the year before we switch to tropical season, this could be your time to do it. Seas increasing 15 to 18 feet in northeast swell, and then just east of the or northeast of the central Bahamas, seas increasing 12 to 15 feet in northeast swell, and some easterly swell pushing in towards the Florida coast. Again, it's just going to depend on where this storm develops and how the shape sets up. Here is going back to March 26 and 90L Invest. Again, this is a similar pattern to what we're in now, and then 90L Invest moved off in its natural progression off towards the northeast and then developed into a strong area of low pressure, and that's what gave us those waves for those 4 to 5 days. So it was really fun back then. Also, looking out towards Africa, although it's not till the Cape Verde season that we typically worry about tropical waves moving off the African coast. We do look for signals early in the year of the intertropical convergence zone, and we are seeing some flare-up of some convective activity in here as this starts to move across. The interesting thing to note here is the bunching of the clouds in here. So we'll be watching over the next couple of weeks for the designation by the National Hurricane Center for the first tropical wave of the season moving off the African coast. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll develop out here, but sometimes these tropical waves can cross the entire Atlantic, get into the Caribbean basin, and then have a chance for development. Here's this afternoon's run of the GFS model. This is starting you all off on Saturday. So here comes Easter Swell 2017. Here's that area of low pressure here. It's going to lift up and combine with that other area of low pressure, producing a storm force low. Here's that north-northeast swell now aimed at the Bahamas from the high pressure, and then at Puerto Rico by the low pressure. Strong northeast fetch developing, and you'll see that this thing wants to sit here and rotate through next week before it turns into next Wednesday a negative swell production, although there is some reinforcing northerly swell in here. So there could be an extended period of some fun surf coming in here for the islands in here. Guys along the East Coast, we'll be watching this over the next couple of days now, because again, this is a week out. This is next Wednesday, so we've got a lot of time to watch this. That's all we got for you for now, guys. Stay tuned for the next update.